Let us continue our reading of the Prologue by Bradstreet. In my previous lecture, I have mentioned about the first stanza and the second stanza. Now let us begin with the third stanza. Here also, we find that Anne Bradstreet is continuing her incapabilities of using better words and better expressions in the form of writing. She says, "From schoolboy's tongue, no rhetoric we expect." Now the question is, what is that, or what is it actually indicating? She writes from schoolboy's tongue. Now schoolboy's tongue, it is actually indicating towards the typical form of the novitiate. And you cannot expect the oratorial speeches to be performed by any school-going boy. She writes, "From schoolboy's tongue, no rhetoric we expect." So what it actually indicates, that just like from a schoolboy's tongue or from the schoolboy, you cannot expect the oratorial speeches. Likewise, I am incapable of using my proper language in the form of poetry. She writes, "From schoolboy's tongue no rhetoric we expect," and then she continues, "nor yet a sweet consort from broken strings." So the schoolboys, this is actually indicating the incapability. The reference to or the image of the broken strings of a lyre or broken strings of a musical instrument, it is also indicating the incapability of creating any kind of music that is being indicated as a sweet consort. Likewise, from me, you cannot expect any better performance that she is trying to do here. So from schoolboy's tongue, no rhetoric we expect, nor yet a sweet consort from broken strings, nor perfect beauty, where is a main defect. So beauty with a defect cannot be considered to be beautiful at all. My foolish, broken, blemished muse. So you see the terms are there being indicated. The first one is foolish again. That means I do not have such capability, I do not have such kind of intellect to create such kind of words. It is broken, that's why ultimately again it is being indicated with the broken strings. And then blemished, it is being indicated with the third image that she is creating. And then everything, all these epithets have been incorporated with the muse. She writes, "My foolish, broken, blemished muse so sings." And these two meant, so ultimately my singing, my capability of writing, it can be oriented, it can be compared with a schoolboy's tongue, with a sound from the broken string, with a beauty which has some kind of problem or defect. And then she writes, and these two main, that means if I have to try for the betterment of my writing, I have to mend my foolishness, I have to mend my broken attitudes, I have to mend my blemished forms, you see. Alas, no art is able to do so, because nature made it so irreparable. She writes that it is the nature, it is ingrained. You cannot expect any better performance from the person like me because I don't have such talent. I don't have such knowledge. I don't have such kind of craftsmanship. So that's why it is completely irreparable. You cannot repair them to be more. Nor can I, like that fluent, sweet-tongued Greek. Actually, she is indicating towards Demosthenes. You know what happens? That Demosthenes, in his early age, he was stammering actually. He stammered a bit. But when he became a grown-up personality, in the form of writing, we can find that he actually, to some extent, he could make a progressed a bit in the form of writing, in the form of his speaking and so. So here she writes, nor can I, like that quote-unquote fluent, sweet-tongued Greek who lisped at first. So it is actually indicating towards the defective speech. In future, times speak plain. By art, he gladly found what he did seek. That means in spite of the physical problem, in spite of the problem in speaking, when we read the work of Demosthenes, we couldn't find anything that is indicating towards that broken speeches, or maybe lisping, or maybe the defective form of speech that we can find here. That's why she writes, nor can I, that means I am not like Demosthenes. Demosthenes could overcome these problems, but I don't have that talent. Nor can I, like that fluent, sweet-tongued Greek who lisped at first, in future times speak plain. By art, he gladly found what he did seek. A full requital, okay, that is something given in return. A full requital of his striving pain. That means he felt the pain when he stammered, when he used the defective speech. But a full requital, that is compensation to some extent, he had been given in the form of the talent of writing. Art can do much, but this maxim is most sure. A weak or wounded brain admits no cure. That means in case of Demosthenes, you could expect that art could provide him such kind of exposure that his temperament, that his physical inability kept him imprisoned. But when you think of the weak or wounded brain, she is writing here that I do have the wounded brain, I do have the weak brain. But ultimately, when the brain is wounded, when the talent is wounded, you cannot admit no cure. That means it is actually indicating that if you have the talent, then you will find any way to express your talent or expose your talent in the form of art. But if you are lacking the talent, then there is nothing that can cure your problem, cure your wounds. Again, you will find that in these two stanzas, that is stanza 3 and stanza 4, Anne Bradstreet is indicating towards, it's kind of an overt implication towards the negative traits that she is representing with her. So it is a kind of self-depreciation. It is a kind of humility that she is focusing on. Okay? But towards the end of the poem, we will find certainly that it will be changed. You will find certainly that the typical orientation to patriarchy, the presentation of female, all these things will be addressed. Okay, so from one particular point of view, we can find this self-depreciative orientation has to be taken. At another point, we will find the ironic orientation is already being given or also being given in this particular poem where the females have been controlled by patriarchy. How it is working, we will discuss in our next lecture. Thank you.